Yeah. So what's your contention? Like what's the thing that's like kind of difficult for you to grasp right now?
Well, I just thought there was a lack of confidence. There was a lot of confidence and self-respect.
Okay.
There was a lack of self-respect because when you throw money away, when you see people as more competent than you, it shows you lack self-respect. It
Okay.
really does. Fighting people, standing up for yourself, is not a bad thing to do. It's a brave thing.
It's a like I
Now,
think
they
what
might think,
yeah.
because a lot of people are very selfish and are very arrogant, and they might think that it's a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're just standing up for yourself. That
Yeah.
you're just being brave.
Yeah, no, I
And
think
I cannot respect cowards.
yeah.
I did not respect myself because I was so cowardly.
I think when you're talking about the ally to Islam
When you're
versus
brave
yeah.
and when you stand up for yourself, you gain self-respect because now you respect yourself.
Yeah. So I think when you're talking about an ally to Islam, but they're not Muslim, we have to understand that it's great to help the Muslims. Like nobody is saying that that's wrong or bad or anything, right? Like that's great. We like that. But the thing is we also have to make sure we're giving the person that is an ally dawah, right? And we also have to be careful who we ally with,
Right.
as Muslims. Like we as Muslims, like if for example the LGBTQ community comes and say, "Hey, Muslims, we're standing with you, we're supporting you," right? It could be the case that
There
they
are a lot of
can I,
yeah.
it could be the case that they also want our support for them, but we can't coincide with the disagreement that we have with their lifestyle as Muslims, right? So we can't
There
be an ally to everyone. There's always respect, but there's always tolerance because we live in a secular society, but we cannot respect someone's haram choices, right? That's the Muslim stance.
like the thing is, I don't think most people would look at me and immediately think that I'm a Muslim. That's just not how it works because I don't look like the stereotypical Muslim, right? That's why I say that I'm not 100% a Muslim, that I'm more of an ally of the Muslim.
No,
But there are
but
a lot of
just because you
who are
don't,
allies with Muslims
no, but I'm saying,
historically, right?
but just because you don't look like a Muslim, that doesn't mean anything.
People are gonna like for example, like the Russians. Right now, they're allies with the Muslims, right?
I don't know much about I don't know much about
I
politics.
don't know, but when you look at the average Russian, you're not going to think Muslim, right? You're not going to think he's a Muslim, but he's an ally. He's an ally of the Muslim, right? And a lot of countries and cultures they ally with the Muslims rather than challenge them.
Okay. But like what I want you to, I don't specifically to you, brother. Like the one thing about because you're a new Muslim, I don't want you to feel like I have to look a certain way or like other than the beard, because the beard we do have to keep as Muslim men. But other than that, your clothing, as long as you are following the conditions or
The
the
thing is, I respect Muslims.
uh-huh.
I'm not a stereotypical Muslim, but I respect Muslims because I respect their discipline.
Wait,
I
hold on, hold
respect
on.
their self-respect.
But you understand what a Muslim is, right? Like
Yeah, like somebody who believes in Allah and the Prophet Muhammad and all that. And
yeah. So as long as you're not, as long as you
I
don't
agree
believe,
with a lot of the teachings too.
yeah, as long as you don't think that something that is necessary to believe in, that you don't disbelieve in that, or a ruling in Islam that you don't, that is a correct ruling in Islam to have, that you don't disagree with that, then you are within the fold of Islam. But for example, if I as a Muslim, if I say alcohol isn't haram, if I say that, if I say alcohol isn't haram, I've made a statement of disbelief with that statement. But if I say even if I'm drinking alcohol, I'm drinking alcohol, and I still believe and I say alcohol is haram, then I'm still a Muslim, but I'm sinful while drinking alcohol. You see? So that's where I want you to be aware that as long as you have the belief of a Muslim, the progress in applying the Islam in your life, that's going to be a journey. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't want you to get caught up on like, oh, I don't have a beard or I don't look like a stereotypical Muslim and that's why I don't feel like a Muslim and I consider myself an ally. you are a Muslim as long as you have the Muslim belief, right? And as long as you have taken your shahada and you don't negate something that is necessary to believe in, right? So that's where I want you to be clear on. I don't want you to leave here thinking that, oh, hey, I'm not a Muslim because I don't look like a Muslim. No, that's not the case.
Here's the thing. Once again, I respect the bravery of the Muslim. I respect the fact that they respect themselves and they don't embarrass themselves. I'm trying to get towards that level, as close to that level of perfection, of bravery as I can get. And
that's going to take
in
some
the
time.
past, yeah, like in the past, like I said, I've already made improvements, but there's still a long ways to go.
But based off of
when I have more self-respect now.
Yeah, my memory of you already appear more capable today.
More competent, yeah.
Yeah, then
because when you're incompetent, you don't respect yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you respect yourself if you're so incompetent?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When you are competent, then you start respecting yourself. And you don't have to I don't have to be a perfectionist at everything. I don't have to be a professional chef. I don't have to be a professional race car driver. I don't have to be a professional boxer. I don't have to be the best at everything to respect myself. But I just have to make sure that I don't do anything stupid, that I don't totally embarrass myself.
Yeah.
And then I would already feel like I've met my requirements.
And just be aware, like even if you do something embarrassing, you can always seek forgiveness from Allah for what you've transgressed on, right? You can always make tawbah, repentance from what you transgressed on.
Right.
As long as you believe what you did is wrong, right?
The key to meeting the minimum standards, I think, it's just to not waste money.
Yeah.
Don't waste money. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Ripping money apart, come on. Like, there's no excuse for that. That's just stupid.
You as a new Muslim, though, there are things that are more...
I'm not saying you have to cook a 5-star gourmet meal. Just don't rip money apart.
Yeah.
That's it. Use that money and have someone else cook a 5-star gourmet meal at an expensive price if you want to. But that's better than ripping money apart, because at least now you're getting something in return, right? Yeah. But it's a lot better, obviously, if you can cook that 5-star gourmet meal, because you can save a lot of money if you cook it yourself.
Yeah.
But not everybody's that confident. I get it.
Yeah.
Not everybody has those cooking skills. But if you can at least use that money to buy that meal, that's at least better than ripping the money apart, because then you're getting nothing.
Yeah. So
at least meet the, what I'm saying is meet the minimum standards.
Yeah. So the minimum standards for Islam is like you pray 5 times a day, right? Like you're praying 5 times a day, you are meeting the minimum standards. And it's not difficult to pray 5 times a day. It's actually quite, once you actually, make the intention to pray.
What's the perfectionist level of being a Muslim? What does that look like?
A perfectionist level?
Yeah.
So if somebody is like is praying the 5 fard prayers, you know what fard means? Fard means obligatory. So like those 5 daily prayers that you have to pray, right? Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. If you're praying that, and then you're also praying what we call the optional prayers, the Sunnah Muakkada, which is those.
Then you're doing it on a professional level.
Then you're doing a step up higher, right? And then if you're praying optional prayers as well, where you're like praying, for example, Tahajjud. Tahajjud is the night prayer that is like a little like, before Fajr enters.
I would say that if you memorize the entire Quran word for word, then you're like at the professional level. Because not very many people can do that, Ken.
For sure, being a hafid, what we call a memorizer of Quran, it is a noble task. It is a beautiful task to undertake, and the ones who are
then you're at the advanced level.
Ones who are memorizers of the Quran and practicing and understanding what they've memorized, you will see that. You will see that they are that.
Then you'd be like the master of Islam.
What we call is ihsan. You know what ihsan means? It means like excellence. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he was speaking with Angel Gabriel. Have you heard of this story before?
No.
Where a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he was sitting with his Sahaba, and this man was in like white clothes, like white, no dirt on his clothes, and his hair was jet black, and he didn't have any effects on him that looked like he was in travel, which is weird because if you are in the desert and you're new to the area, everyone's going to think that you would have some effects of travel on you, right? Because you've never been seen before. But this person wasn't seen before, and he was in a white, perfectly white cloth, jet black hair, and no effects of travel. So the Sahaba were like really amazed by this, and they didn't understand like who is this person. Then the person came and he sat knee to knee with the Prophet ﷺ, and he asked him three questions. He says, "What is Islam?" Right? What is Islam? What is Iman? And what is Ihsan? So these are what we understand. The scholars talk about the three levels of a believer, of a Muslim, right? So Islam, you know what Islam is? Islam is bearing witness that there is no God worthy of worship in truth except Allah, and that the Prophet ﷺ is his slave and messenger and his final prophet. That you fast the month of Ramadan, you give zakah, you go for Hajj if you are able to, and there's one more, shahada. Oh, and establishing the 5 prayers. So this is what makes you a Muslim if you believe in this, right? And then there's the next level, which is Iman, which is your belief, the believer, right? So you believe in Allah, you believe in the angels, you believe in the books that He sent.
Well, that would be like the boss level.
So, and then you believe in His prophets, and then you believe in the Judgment Day, and you believe in destiny. Destiny is the hard one for all of us to believe in. Do you know why? It's because whenever something bad happens, we start to think that this isn't what, like, how can God put me through this? How can God, like, I've been through so much already. Why are you putting me? And people will ask, and out of hysteria say, why God, why? And they're losing this level of Iman, which is believing in destiny, that God wrote this for you, right? So that's the second tier. And then the last tier is ihsan. And we're told that ihsan is whenever that you worship God as if you can see God. And if you can't see God, know that God sees you. So that's where, where we're all trying to be. We're trying to maneuver in this worldly life as if we see God. Because if we believe that, that we can see God, we're not going to do certain acts. We're not going to do certain behaviors because we feel embarrassed that, hey, like our master is watching us, right? But if we can't imagine that we can see God, because we can't see God, then know that He's watching us. And that's where we need to be as Muslims, or where we're striving for. So as long as you are, like I said, establishing that those 5 basics, right? The prayer, the fasting of the month of Ramadan, the giving in charity if you have the amount to give charity for, and the trying to go for Hajj if you are able to, you've already done the shahada, then you are a Muslim. It doesn't matter what you look like, you are a Muslim. Then you try to implement those 6 pillars of your faith. Believing in Allah, believing in the angels, believing in the books, right? And that destiny thing, because that destiny thing, all of us are affected by it, right? We have to believe in that destiny. So and then that last tier, I think if you can strive for that, then that's where I would say, like, that's the real boss level. When you maneuver, or when you're walking through this dunya as if you know that God is watching you, and you actually apply that in your life, that's when you're...
I definitely want more self-respect. I definitely want to spend money on myself instead of other people, instead of just handing it to other people, which is a waste. Because that's a lack of self. That just shows you don't respect yourself. If you respected yourself, you would spend money on yourself or on Allah and not on everybody else, right?
Well, it depends, because
but to have the self-respect, you need to be more confident.
So like in Islam, I'll teach you something. In Islam, there's three tiers of spending. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's daruriyat, there's those things which are basically essentials. If you didn't have them, and if you didn't spend this on your family, they would be destroyed. So like
very basic
minimum
requirements,
like water, food, shelter, clothing, right? These as a husband, whenever you're about to get married, in order to look after your wife, you have to be able to provide housing, clothing, and food for her. That's the basics.
That's the basic.
Okay? Then there's the next level, which is hajiyat. Hajiyat are those things where if you didn't get them, you wouldn't be destroyed, but they make your life easier. So for an example, a car. a car, a washing machine, these kinds, like when you get a home for your wife, a washing machine, so she doesn't have to
Like
wash
a house and a car.
a house and a car, or
Yeah, that makes sense.
with a washing machine,
Right.
a phone, right? A phone, so you're
Like,
not using.
not necessities, but they'd be nice to have.
They make life easier, specifically, right?
So
And
that's big money.
yeah,
So you need self-respect, you need competency to achieve those things, right?
definitely. And then the last thing is tahsinat. Those things that are, if they're not present, you're not going to be destroyed, and they don't make life easier, but you just want them.
Just luxury items.
There's luxury
Like
items,
Rolex watches, private jets.
things like that, because you can tell the time without one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So like,
Necessary, right?
so that's
It just shows that you're really competent, that you're really like a boss level, right?
Yeah.
That you really know what you're doing.
but like,
Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're never going to get those things. Because those things are not going to be given to you on a silver platter.
exactly. So that's why, but
So
so
that's just complete ego.
yeah.
Those are ego items.
But for you, and it's like you as a man, like you should be aware that it is Islamically obligatory for you to spend on certain people.
Sure.
Right? Like your wife, you have to spend on
Right,
your
you
wife.
got to be
You
responsible.
have to spend on your children.
Right.
Right? So it's as long as you're like when you said that, oh, I don't want to spend on anybody else but of only Allah, right? Or the masjid or whatever. There are certain people that you have to spend on
Right,
that
dependent.
yes, yeah. So like that's true, but I just wanted to clarify that for
Yeah,
you. So
but
you're
I understand in Arabic culture, the man is supposed to be like the breadwinner and supposed to be the responsible one.
oh, it's not just Arabic culture. It's Islamically legislated that the man is the breadwinner.
Oh yeah, I mean usually.
No. Like Allah tells us in the Quran.
Yeah.
That the.
It's Muslim culture. Yeah, Islamic culture.
What do you mean by culture? Because it's.
Because you have to understand that not every culture thinks like that. That where the man is the responsible one, where the man is the breadwinner.
Okay. Yeah.
Some cultures actually it's the woman who does.
Yeah. But I just want you to be clear that it's not the culture. It's the Quran. It's the text of Islam that say that the man has to provide. The woman, like you said, like in some cultures, it's the woman. If a woman wants to spend on her family from her wealth, she's allowed to, right? But in my personal experience, whenever a wife spends on her family, you will lose respect from her.
Yeah.
As a husband. So like the more, think about it this way, the more the expenses are split in the home, that's the amount of respect you're losing.
Right. That's the more power. The more power.
The more she's going, exactly. So the more you, because alhamdulillah, praise God, I cover all of the expenses in my household.
Right.
For my current household and for my daughters that are from a previous marriage, and or for what I'm asked to pay. So from that, I have full respect from my current wife. There's never anything that I ask her to do or any what do you call talk back or disrespect that I get from her.
No.
Nothing, because she understands that I provide the life that she has through the permission of God, through me going out and working and providing that life for her and spending on her with what God has provided for me from. And because of that, she has that high level of respect for me, right? And that's the dynamic that we're supposed to have, right? Patriarchy is only bad if it leads to abuse and if it leads to injustices, right?
Yes.
But the patriarchy, I don't know if you know this, but patriarchy and matriarchy, the only reason those things happen is one gender is bigger than the other. One gender is more powerful than the other. That's what it means. Like, I don't know if you know, but in spiders, it's a matriarchy. The female spiders are more larger and they're more stronger, right? And that's only because the female spider is larger and more stronger, right? So in our species, the male is the larger, more stronger
But there's
species.
also the psychological element too, because
Of course.
woman can be confident, even if the man is big.
Of course.
So, yeah, I mean, I understand. I completely see where you're coming from. I understand the differences between the cultures.
Good.
And I understand that the Muslim culture is one that's patriarchal. And I 100% agree with it. I agree that it should be patriarchal. I'm working towards it. I'm not exactly a powerful guy, but I'm working towards it. Because for me to even think about the luxury stuff, I need to make sure that the basics easy, no problem.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling with it because I lack competence.
Yeah.
But if I had more competency, then yeah, no problem. The small money, the survival stuff, no problem.
Yeah.
I can easily think about the big money, the luxury stuff.
Yeah. And your struggle is not, you're not alone in this. Like
Yeah, a lot of people struggle.
all men are going through this struggle right now, especially in today's economy, right? Where everything's really expensive, right? Especially in Vancouver. Like it's ridiculous here, right? So just understand, like, you're not alone, right?
And if you're sleeping the whole day like I was, you can't get anything done.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you pretty much incapacitated yourself.
Yeah.
You pretty much disabled yourself. And when you sleep the whole day, no money, no power.
Yeah. There's
You
only
become a liability.
to be. I'll give you some insight. There's only 2 days that I wake up after 5 a.m. There's only 2 days, and that's Saturday and Sunday. The week I'm waking up at 4:45 or 5, so that I wake up, especially in the wintertime. The time for tahajjud, that time that I was telling you about, it's later in the day because it's winter. The days are shorter, so you can pray it right away. So
well, you have a lot of just naturally you have a lot of energy. Right?
I don't. I just have energy right now because I ate before I came here. But I'm telling you that the thing that motivates me, like you're wondering like why, right? The thing that motivates me is knowing that this is going to be written in my book of deeds. Having this conversation with you, giving whatever benefit I can give to you from the knowledge that Allah has given me. That's going to be written in my book of deeds. And when I'm going to work or whatever, so whenever I'm going to work, I have the intention that the only reason, because there's days where I can't get up, bro, where my hands are tired. I have to ice my hands after work because of how tired they are, my forearms, because they're just tired. But the only reason I'm going the next day is because God has commanded me and has rewarded me because of that commandment for going to work for my family's sake. You see? So if I have that intention that I'm going to work, even though I'm tired, even though my shoulder is done, I have nerve damage, even though my back is done, I have, calcium deposits and osteoarthritis building on my spine. I'm only doing this for the sake of my family so that they are well taken care of. And there's a principle that maybe you can agree to, is that as your family's life gets easier, the husband's life gets harder. Because if your family's life is not getting easier, then that means that the husband, his life is easy as well. But if the family's life is getting easier, it's usually because the husband's life is getting harder, because he's the one that's making ease for them, right? So that's where my motivation comes from, knowing that Allah is not going to be is not going to do any injustice to me in any way. That everything that I'm doing, and I have the intention for seeking reward from Allah for this, that Allah will compensate me for it.
Yeah, so that makes total sense. I can see why
How old are you?
31.
Yeah, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would be confident because you work so hard and because you're so disciplined. I can see why you have so much self-respect because you work so hard, so disciplined and competent.
Jazakallah khair.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it makes total sense. If I were that competent, if I were that disciplined, I would have self-respect too. Now, I'm not saying I have to get to your level, because
No.
you seem to have.
I'm not at anyone's level.
You're, in my opinion, you might think you're normal, but I mean that might be normal in the Islamic community.
Okay.
But that's not normal in the global community.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because there are cultures where the women are more.
Oh yeah. No, I see
than the
that.
men.
Yeah.
I come from one of those cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking. You think you're normal. I'm looking at you, and I'm thinking you're boss level.
Okay.
Right.
I think I'm just getting by.
Yeah, and you think you're just getting by, but I think you're a boss level compared to me. And so what I'm saying is, I don't have to get to your level. I just need to not do what I did in the past, which was rip money apart, throwing it away.
Yeah.
I just need to meet the minimum standards to, like let's say if you were the boss level, let's say I'm the employee level, the worker level.
Yeah.
Right. So before I wasn't even at the worker level, but now that I realize,
this
it's
is the
stupid to throw money away, now I can get to the worker level.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is actually, if I get to the worker level, in some ways, by the culture of my standards, I have become a boss
Mhm.
because the standards of my culture is actually lower for men than the standards of your culture.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
I can understand
Like
that.
somebody who's that disciplined, like you, would probably be very rare in my culture.
Jazakallah khair for the compliments and
Yeah, like for in the Islamic culture, maybe this is very common, but in my culture, it's not that common.
okay, I understand.
So it's very rare. So if I got to your level, or if whatever it is, I would definitely stand out.
I think for
And
you,
as like a boss, like
yeah,
right?
I think for you, just take it one day at a time. Set like some small goals, like waking up at 8 a.m. and having maybe
I'm
journal.
not saying I have to work 5 jobs, work all day, all night, make
No.
$100. I don't have to. There's no, even if I want to, I don't think I have that in me to do it. You might have it in you because you're that. I mean, that's how.
I couldn't work 5 jobs even if I wanted to, but oh,
You know, I mean, I don't have to get to that level,
yeah,
but I think it's just about meeting the minimum standard requirements. Because
yeah,
if I can't even meet the minimum requirements like in the past, there's no way I can respect myself.
yeah,
There's no way I can get any power or money,
yeah.
right? So it's just I gotta at least do the minimum requirements.
Yeah, I think what you should focus on is your relationship with Allah.
Yeah.
And I think everything else will come from that. Like you may look at and may Allah bless you for these comments that like compliments that you've given me. May I actually be what you've complimented me with. But I can testify that it is because I've strived to get closer to Allah. I've strived to get closer to Allah, and Allah has opened the dunya for me because I'm striving to get closer to Allah. And that's my focal point, right? So if you make that your focal point, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna dedicate time to praying on time in the beginning of its time. I'm gonna try and fast Monday and Thursday, like the Prophet ﷺ fasted. I'm going to try to give more charity to the masjid. I'm going to try to do these things. I guarantee you, you will see the effects of that. It's inevitable, right? But take it one day at a time and maybe try journaling like your ideas and your plans to try and get to the end goals that you have in mind, right? Like journaling helped me a lot. Maybe it can help you a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's good?
Yes.
Okay, good.